as we are discussing these sutras of Vibhuti path, we'll have to always remember that we are talking about very unusual kind of knowledge and very unusual kind of capacities, the vibhutis, the siddhis, the extraordinary powers. So they require extraordinary effort, they require extraordinary capacities which yogis develop. So at our level, we may find it really, really difficult to understand exactly what they mean by these siddhis and why these siddhis are attained. But then we have to keep that in mind that these are, unusual things that they are talking about. So this entire chapter is talking about very unusual kind of things, and unusual capacities are being talked about. So one such capacity which we saw last time, Bhunagyanam Surya Sanyama. The cosmic regions are known by doing Sanyama on the Surya. And Surya we saw is being interpreted as a part in the body which is situated in the heart region. So some people call it Sushumna Nadi also, because I told you that in ancient times, Sushumna Nadi was not considered to be in the spine as normally nowadays yogis or hatha yogis talk about. So this Sushumna Nadi was a subtle Nadi which was moving from heart to the brain. And that pathway was also known as the solar path. So from heart to the top of the brain, it was known as solar path, Surya Dwar, they used to call it. So now today's sutra is talking about Chandra Dwar. It is talking about Chandra Kaya Vibhajnana. By doing Sanyama on the lunar entrance. Now in sutra it is written Chandra, but interpretation by the commentator is that it is the door of the moon or Chandra Dwar. So by doing Sanyama on this Chandra Dwar, the knowledge of the placement and arrangement of the stars is known. So we know where all stars are located. So Chandre Tara Vyuha Jnanam. Again, we'll have to understand that sutras were written 2500 years ago. After that, the first commentary was written somewhere in 300, 200 or 300 AD. So almost 700 years after the sutras were written, the first commentary which is available to us in the form of Vyas Bhashya, it is 17 or 1800 years old. So there is a big time gap and we really do not know what was meant by the Sutrakar and how this commentator has arrived at the conclusion and why commentator is saying that Chandra or moon represents a certain part of the body. Just like the Surya represented the heart region, same way the Chandra also represents certain part of the body. And where that part is located, it is said that it is on the Nasikagra or the passage, nasal passage, just above the at the root of the palate, or we can say that roof of the mouth, the roof of the mouth or the base of the palate. That is what is the place where they are saying it is Chandradwar is there. So here little technical things are there, but still we'll have to discuss it in case we want to understand the sutra in depth. We'll have to discuss about them. So they say that here the difference is that there the in Surya we had talked about two kinds of illumination. See, when we talk about illumination, often we often say in language we say I don't see any reason. I don't see any reason why I should do this. Now here, does a person really see the reason? Is he using eyes to see the reason? No, he's talking about understanding. He's talking about knowledge. But he's saying, I don't see. So seeing is also associated with knowing. So seeing has got two meanings. One is the vision. One is when we use the eyes and we see the object, then we say, I am seeing this object. Or when we understand something, then also we say, oh, I see that this is what is meant. So when I say I see, the vision is not involved. So this the earlier knowledge which we talked about Suryas, Bhuvana Jnanam Surya Sanyama, there they were referring to that kind of knowing which is associated with the understanding, which is associated with sattva guna. So we are in a way, it is related to perception, power of perception, and it was there within the body. It was there within the body. So the focus was on the heart, and heart region. It can give us rich dividend if we concentrate on the heart region and focus on that and meditate on that. As several spiritual practices all over world are associated with doing meditation on the heart region. So heart region is considered to be very important, but that is within the body. So we just feel it, and we are knowing it, or we are seeing it by just feeling it. So that was meant there. But in case of Chandra, in case of Chandra Tara Vyuha Jnanam, it is the actual visual part is also involved here. Because when the focus is done on the Nasikagra, the Tatak is carried out on the Nasikagra, and somewhere when the palate region is focused on, one gets some kind of visionary or visual kind of knowledge. Visual kind of experiences are available to such a person. So this difference we have to understand. So I had just written down a little passage in this sutra. 27 to Chandra or moon is the actually referring to lunar entrance, just like the solar entrance in the previous sutra. Now you see, when we are talking about this Surya Dwara and Chandra Dwara, some commentators, some very rare few commentators are there, because as I told you, sutras were written 2500 years ago, and after Vyas Bhashya there are several commentators. Very famous commentators are Vachaspati Mishra, somewhere in 10th century. Then 15th century there is Vijnana Bhikshu. Then Swami Hariharan is there in the previous century. And in between there are some commentators like one is known as Bhoja, and there are other commentators also, Narayan Tirth, and several commentaries are there. So out of these, some commentators, they say that actually sun is the focus, or actually the moon is the focus. But the book we are referring to, Swami Hariharan Aranya, who is a very, very reputed commentator and who has got tremendous insights into the entire Indian philosophy. In all the systems of philosophy, he was expert of Vedas, Upanishads, and all other scriptures. So he also agrees that it is the Surya Dwar, it is part of the body and not the actual sun. Because again, the argument is there that if we do Sanyama on the sun, we will get knowledge of the sun. How we can get knowledge of the Bhuvana Jnana? And if we are focusing on the moon, then again moon will be again the focus. So moon will be known. Sanyama will give knowledge of the moon, how it can give knowledge of the Tara Mandal or the arrangement of the stars. So these are the scholars which they are, they are talking about all these things. But we have to understand that this position which is taken, that certain part of the body are very, very important, and they can reveal a lot of knowledge. So here the suggestion is there that the Chandradwar is to be focused on. Now, where this Chandradwar is situated, as I told you, now this Swami Hariyananda has also, surprisingly, this commentary was written almost 125 years back. 125 years back, Swami Hariyananda Aranya has written this commentary, which we are referring to. And there he has referred to two Hatha Yoga texts. Which are the Hatha Yoga texts? One is the Yogi Yajnavalkya, and the other is the Gheranda Samhita. So these are important texts of Hatha Yoga. When we are studying yoga, we should know that which are the important authoritative texts on Hatha Yoga. So Yogi Yajnavalkya is a very famous text. Same way, Gheranda Samhita is a very, Gheranda Samhita is almost now we'll say that it is almost 400, 500 years old, Samhita it is. So in both the text, this location which I told you just now, it is the Nasikagra or the palate. That region has been said to be the seat of focus on Chandra, and that will reveal the information about the arrangement of stars. How it is happening, it is not given. So it is we can only speculate and we can only understand little bit. So that is why, these two words are quoted by Swami Hariyanandaranya. Nasage Shashadrak Bimbam. This is from Yogi Agnavalkya, chapter 5, shlok 15. And then in Giranda Samhita, chapter 5, Sutra 43, Talu Mule Cha Chandramaha. Talu is the palette. Talu Mule Cha Chandrama. So where is moon is situated? Where moon is the symbolic moon is situated? It is in the Talu Mula. That is what is suggested. Though the commentary on Vyas Bhashya does not give the method of the quote, how this is achieved, where the mental focus while doing the pranayam is suggested, while this mental focus is suggested while doing the pranayam. Now, these two chapters which I referred just now, Giranda Samhita as well as the Yogi Yajnavalkya, when they are describing pranayam, then only they have talked about these two things. So, in the chapter which is dealing with pranayam topic, there these verses are coming. So this we have to understand. And then what is the difference between Surya Sanyamat and Chandra Sanyamat is that, as I told you, lots of things are getting mixed up. So one of the thing is that last time I had mentioned that somehow when the focus is on the heart region, a yogi is always doing that, and gradually a time comes when he is leaving the body. So when he leaves the body, or his soul leaves the body from the Surya Dwar, that is from the heart, it goes upward, and then it leaves the body, then that yogi goes into Brahma Loka. That yogi is not born again. And this is the important criteria by which it is judged. I remember a few years back, not few years, maybe 20, 25 years back, or maybe later. No, when the Devariya Baba, when he died. So, the experts were examining his body and they all agreed that his soul had left from the top of the head. There is, somebody had also called it Bindu Chakra or Sahasrar, we can say. Sahasrar is a common word. So when the soul leaves from the top of the head, then that is known as, Surya Dwar, entry from the Surya. And that person is attaining moksha or he goes into Brahmaloka. Whereas when the body is left by the soul from the Chandra Dwar, that is from the eyes or from the nose, then that person goes to some good lokas and then he attains maybe heaven and enjoys whatever good deeds he has done, but he has to come back again. That is suggested. So this is one difference between Chandra and Surya Dwara. Another difference, now this particular thing which I am telling you again, Aranya has quoted Bhagavad Gita. In Bhagavad Gita, there are shlokas which are talking about the same thing. So in Bhagavad Gita, for example, when we look at chapter 8, so shloka 24 and 25, if you refer to these shlokas, you will find that Bhagavan Krishna is again talking about the same thing. So there the Surya or the Agni, light, the path of the light, when the soul leaves through that path, then that person's attained Brahma Loka. But if a person is born, is leaving the body from Chandra path, then he has to come back, he is born again. And there, it has been also connected to what is known as the connection with Surya, as I told you, is very deep. How it is connected to Surya? In that shloka, it is mentioned that the person who is dying, who is leaving his body, when the Surya is in Uttarayan, right now Surya is in Dakshinayan. So when the sun is in the northern hemisphere, that time if a person dies and his soul leaves the body from the solar region, then he goes to Brahmaloka. And if he is dying during the sun being in the southern hemisphere, Dakshinayan, then the person is going into the other lokas, enjoying the fruit of action, and he comes back and he is born again and again. So the cycle of birth. So this Surya and Chandra are also associated with the souls attaining some kind of development, spiritual development, where one can, get rid of the nirvana. It is like, when a person is passing through the Surya Dwara, it is final nirvana for him. If not, then he has to come back again and again, again and again. That has been, they are also known as in Bhagavad Gita, he calls it Devayana. So when Devyana or Pritrayana. So Chandra is Pitrayana and Surya is Devyana. So these are the differences, but here the idea is that arrangement of the stars is gained. What is the exact process? How it is happening? It is difficult to say because I was thinking I have been when I am taking Sutra. Normally, I prepare for the Sutra many days in advance. So, like today, I will finish Sutra. From tomorrow, I'll start thinking about the next Sutra. So I spent some time on discussing, thinking, reading different commentaries, four, five, six commentaries, trying to think about it, trying to think about connection. I'm not able to find out exactly how it must be happening. So really, it is difficult to say. It is all little mystery, and it is जो बोलते हैं ना हम लोग बहुत गूढ़ है, बहुत रहस्यमय है. So it is difficult to say exactly how this knowledge must be happening. But one thing is sure that when focus is done on this Chandra Dwara, definitely some unusual visual experiences are taking place. Visual perceptions are taking place, which are of a very, very extraordinary kind. We had discussed when we were discussing Sutra 35 of chapter 1, where it was stated that when a yogi's mind is getting disturbed, his mind can be arrested, his mind can be brought to balance, his mind can attain peace by having some kind of unusual sensory perception. So, the moment he will have some kind of unusual sensory perception, it could be of vision, it could be of smell, it could be of sound, it could be of touch, or it could be of taste. So, any kind of unusual experience of sensory kind, which is where the senses are involved, such experience immediately brings the mind of the yogi to a balanced state and tranquility is attained. That is why this particular technique was called parikarma. Parikarma is that technique which purifies the mind, which stabilizes the mind. Mind is going haywire, mind is getting disturbed. So, how to bring it back to balance, how to bring it back to steadiness? For that, whatever methods are adopted, whatever techniques are adopted, those are known as parikarmas. And few of the parikarmas were mentioned in chapter 1. So, prachardana vidharnabhyam va pranasya, विषयवती वा प्रवृत्तिरुत्पन्ना मनसः स्थिति निबंधिनी विशोका वा ज्योतिष्मति वीतराग विषयम वा चित्तम स्वप्न निद्रा ज्ञानालंबनम वा. These are all parikarmas which were suggested, but that doesn't mean the Patanjali is giving exhaustive list. There could be many more parikarmas. We might be adopting some of the parikarmas and we may not be knowing that we are using this to bring our mind to balance. So there could be several methods. Few methods were stated, and one of the method was having this unusual kind of perception. So focusing on this Chandra Dwar, it does gives us a perception of unusual kind, and perhaps that is also, and the mind becomes very quiet, mind becomes very stable, and maybe some kind of intuitive knowledge might be arising whereby one can get the information about the star formation. But then the next sutra talks about the same thing because so we will be taking next sutra also. What does next sutra say? Dhruve tad gati jnanam. Dhruve tad gati jnanam. What does it mean? Now, Chandrama, what gives it? Gives the knowledge of Tara Mandal. So, Chandre Tara Vyuha Jnanam. Dhruve tad gati jnanam. Dhruve means when one is focusing on the pole star, northern star, pole star, lode star, these are the same. So when one is focusing on the pole star, now here the actual object is suggested. Here the actual sanyama is to be done on the pole star. If one looks at the pole star, north pole, north star, then one gets the knowledge of the movement of all the stars. All the movement of all the stars will be known to such a person who will be able to do sanyama on the Dhruva. Dhruva is Dhruva Tara, we all know. This Dhruva Tara has been the guiding force for centuries. Even when the compass was not discovered, this Dhruva Tara used to be used for seeking direction and for navigation. It was a very, very important, mark. So now also people who are moving on the sea in the ships, North Star is still a guiding factor, although now very powerful instruments are there to show the direction, the compass. But then again, in compass also, you will find that the direction of the pointer of compass is always pointing the north. So that is very important. Now, what could be the here we can understand what must be happening, because you will find that we can find some meaning, we can find some explanation as to how focusing on the pole star can give knowledge of the movement of these stars. Why it is possible? Because we find that only one star is there in this universe, as far as the perception from Earth is concerned. When we look at the sky, when we look at the antariksh from the sky, from the Earth, we find that only one star is there which is really fixed. Even the moon is all the time moving. Moon is always all the time moving, but pole star, North Star is always fixed. So when focus is done on the North Star, what will happen? Everything moving around that will be known. Because every day, suppose, even if we are not able to do Sanyama, even if we are not able to do Sanyama, if we just make it a habit that every day we will watch the pole star, and in relation to that pole star, if we try to understand which constellation is there, which stars are there, how exactly today the change has taken place, yesterday what it was, tomorrow what it will be, day in day out, if we observe, then with our ordinary knowledge, with our ordinary capacity of mind also, we can acquire a good knowledge about the movement of stars. Whereas here they are talking about a yogi who was able to do sanyama on the pole star. So this is one very, very important area. Now you see this particular phenomena of focusing on something stable, something steady, anything which is steady, and we focus on that. In relation to that, whatever is happening around that will become known to us. This is the principle which we can understand in our life. This is a very, very important principle. So from that point of view, this North Pole, this North Pole also a kind of, it is also a kind of symbol, or it is just indicating some kind of direction or purpose, or a stability, because it's always there, and it shows, it gives us some kind of guidance. People have always looked forward to pole star to seek guidance. Now applying this principle to life, when we if we decide where it will be applicable in our life, uh, if we are living a life where certain direction is fixed, certain purpose is fixed, then our lives become very, very meaningful, and they become very powerful. There are two ways of living life. One is, we are born, so just as the day comes, uh, as the days are going on, and we just live purposelessly and with very limited kind of understanding of life. That is one way of living life, and the other way of life is giving a purpose to life. And giving a purpose to life is only possible when one is looking for a certain direction, and there is a purpose behind, he's trying to search a purpose behind the life. So this is a very important phenomena which we have to understand. Now, you see, as I told you, there are two options. One is allow the life to just take charge and we just live as the day comes. Other is, steering our life in a certain direction. There is a certain goal in our life, and there's a certain purpose to our life. So we are trying to use our life for a certain meaningful purpose. That is the other option. And both kinds of people are there. Very rarely it happens that people have certain definite purpose in life and they try to go towards it. So in this, we have to understand this. Uh, when I was thinking about, as I told you, I keep working on it. I remembered one of my uncle. I learned a lot from my uncle, maternal uncle, my mother's brother, my mother's cousin. He was a very extraordinary kind of person, very truthful, very honest, always living by certain principles. And he taught me, by the way, he only taught me about yoga. He introduced yoga in my life. So I learned a lot from him. So many good things I learned from him. Like, once I remember he taught me what is the difference between a good citizen and a good human being. I was very young. I started arguing. I said, a good citizen has to be good human being. He said, not necessarily. Think about it. Then he made me think about it. And then he argued with me. And then he finally proved what he was saying, that a good human being, is different than a good citizen. A good citizen may behave in a certain way, and that's why he's a good citizen. But a good human being will never behave in any wrong manner. See, so these kind of subtle things he used to teach me. So same way, the purpose of life, as I was telling you, he told me that his grandfather had instructed him. My uncle was instructed by his grandfather that whenever you are eating food, never face southern direction. Never sit in the facing south while eating food. Always before having your meal, check in which direction you are sitting. If you are facing south direction, immediately change the direction, east, west, north, any direction, but don't face southern direction. Now, I do not know why his grandfather taught him that, and why he told me that. Maybe he was trying to teach me something very important there. And then when I asked him, so what is the difference, in whichever direction we are eating, it doesn't matter which direction we are facing. So why should we focus on that? He said, he said, I do not know why my grandfather suggested that. But now when I realize, whenever I am checking my direction while eating food, that habit has come into my life in such a way that everything I do, I check my direction. Whatever I do, I check my direction, whether I am going in the right direction or I am doing something wrong. So my life, following this one suggestion from my grandfather, I have been able to direct my life in the right course. And he was such a very extraordinary person, very difficult to find such people nowadays. Very handsome, and such a pure soul he had, and very helpful and very gentle, always living by truth, always living by good principles. So now, that, so he acquired that by following the advice of his grandfather to have a direction in life. Now, if we have a direction in life, then things will go right. Otherwise, we are like a piece of wood thrown in the water. So wherever the waves will come, the piece of wood will flow in that direction. But then a boat is there. A boat has got oar. It has got a machine. So a boat is always going in certain direction. A piece of wood, boat is also made up of wood, but it flows in a certain direction where the owner of the boat or the person sitting in the boat gives direction to the boat to go in a certain way. Whereas a piece of wood is always, so sometimes the life of people is like, piece of wood thrown in the water, directionless, going here and there, not having any purpose in life. And to that extent, life is very disturbed. To that extent, the problems are there. To that extent, person is not sure where he is. He lacks confidence. So now these are, important areas which we have to look. So this Dhruve Tadgati Jnanam, it is telling us always have this indication, always have this purpose in life, always have this in direction in life. Now, you see, luckily my Japanese friend is also here. There's a very, very important concept in Japanese, uh, it's a beautiful concept, ikigai. Nowadays, everybody is talking about ikigai. Few years back, I came to know about it. My daughter presented me with a book called titled Ikigai. I read through it. And then ikigai is what? Ikigai is having a purpose in life. Iki is life, and gai is purpose or reason to live. Do we have a reason to live? Because if we have strong reason, strong purpose, strong direction to live, then we will be very eager to live our life and enjoy life. And we will be looking forward, when we sleep, we will be looking forward to get up with lot of enthusiasm, lot of, kind of good feelings. a strong mind. So ikigai is again, this Dhruva Tara is representing the ikigai. It is representing the purpose in life. If that purpose is not there, then life is really not worth living, actually, if you go to see. This, again, I was thinking about it. I was reminded of a book I had read very long back. And the title of the book is, you can read it. It's a wonderful book. So I'm suggesting it to you. If you can read it, it will be very good. A Man in Search of Meaning. That is the title of the book. And it is written by Viktor Frankl. Viktor Frankl was a Jew. He was a psychologist. And he gave us a very, very famous theory of therapy. It is known as logotherapy. Very famous logotherapy, Viktor Frankl. So now Viktor Frankl, his quote is there. This quote is really, really very wonderful and very beautiful. Like ikigai, this quote of Viktor Frankl, what it says: if you have a why, if you have a why to live for, you will put up anyhow. If the purpose is there in life, if you know why you are living, if you know why, if you have clear knowledge of why, then anything happens, you will be able to overcome it. You will be able to succeed. And he's not saying it intellectually. It is not theoretical. This person was in concentration camp in Germany at that when the Hitler was there. So many years he spent in concentration camp in Germany. And every day he used to see some people dying. Every day. Lots of Jews were there, imprisoned in German prisons. And then every day he will see many people used to die. And in front of him, so many hundreds of people died, but he survived. And then after he survived, when the World War II ended, he was released from the jail. And then he had written this logo. He became a very famous psychologist, and he wrote about this. He wrote this book, The Man in Search of Meaning. And he talked about his logotherapy. So what he says, what he means by why, when he say if a person has a why to live for, then he can put up anyhow. So what he means by that why, what he means by that why is the reason to live, the meaning of life. What meaning does he see in the life? And his entire psychological theory of therapy is based on this. If person who's on the verge of committing suicide, why he is doing it? Because he doesn't see any meaning in his life. If somehow, if a person can talk to this person and he can just by talking show him some kind of meaning in his existence, that person will never commit suicide. This is a fact. When a person is in that moment when he's committing something so drastic as suicide, because he's seeing everything as meaningless, everything, there's no purpose. There's no purpose left in life. There's no meaning left in life. So, thinking about now, you see, who will have this purpose? Who will have this purpose? Who will have ikigai? Now, when ikigai, it is proved that people who have ikigai, they live long. They live a happy life. They live a very meaningful life. They live a very powerful life. Because they have a reason to live, they have reason to smile, they have reason to live and enjoy. So they are enjoying simple things. They enjoy the food. They enjoy the company of friends. They enjoy small things, nature, flowers, trees, sun, moon, stars, sky, birds, flowers. So they have this capacity because they have this purpose. From that purpose, this power of enjoying small things comes. And so they are very happy. And see, they are very, very powerful or very, very useful members of the community in which they live. In Japan, they say ikigai, but in other parts of the world, we will say if a person has got a firm commitment to something, he has some goal to live by, he has some reason to live by. Now, such individuals will also be called the persons living by ikigai. And they are everywhere, every part of the world. The name might be different. It may not be The name may not be ikigai, but name might be something different. So these people are really extraordinary people. As I told you, this uncle of mine, he had a really extraordinary life. And wherever he went, he spread only peace, and he talked about very good things. He was very gentle with everyone. So now such people are really, very, very useful to the society. By their own happiness, by their own sense of purpose, they are able to help everybody else whosoever gets touched by them. They will be Everybody will benefit. Whosoever will come into contact with such people, they will benefit. They will be happy. That is what we have to understand. So, and this ikigai will come when examining is there. When one is we are not living mechanically. If we live mechanically, again, life will be like a piece of wood thrown into the water. It will go in all direction. But if we decide a purpose, after for deciding purpose, we'll have to have some kind of examination done. We'll have to think about our life. What is the purpose of life? What direction I am going into? What I am doing? How it is impacting me in long run? What will happen to me? Where I am going exactly? Now, these are the questions which we have to ask ourselves. Nobody else can answer. Nobody else can answer. This answer has to come from within, because each person will have a different ikigai. Not two persons will have same. Everybody has got a different reason to live for, different purpose. So each one of us has to find a purpose and meaning in our life. Why we are living? What are we trying to achieve? What is it we want in life? So this will be applicable even to Abhi. See, we have to understand, general people are not so aware, but we claim that we are yoga teachers, we claim that we are yoga students. If we are yoga students, if we are yoga teachers, then we have to ask ourselves, where our life is going, what are we doing, what are our mental states, why they are so, what can we do about it. It is very important. And only a person who's examining this, who's asking these questions, he will only be able to find a purpose in life. Otherwise, it is very difficult to find a purpose in life. That is the problem. So from that point of view, this particular sutra is very, very important, because this is laying down a principle for our life. It can guide our life in right direction. Because when we are checking our direction, when we are asking questions, then we can, and lot of correction can take place. Correction can take place only by asking what is going wrong. When we feel some weakness, when we are sad, when we are in pain, when we are suffering, that is the time we can ask ourselves, why this pain came to me? Why this suffering came to me? Why I am so weak? Why I am so afraid? When we ask these questions, then we will be able to understand that somewhere things need to be corrected. The course of life has to be corrected. The direction has to go in the right direction. Then only things will be empowering us. If we are feeling weak, if we are feeling all the time constrained, all the time restricted, all the time frustrated, all the time unhappy, then we have to definitely ask this question, why it is so. Otherwise, there's no possibility. And we may say that, somebody else will come and guide us. It is only palliative. We may go to a psychiatrist, we may go to a doctor, we may go to any expert, we may go to a great guru, we may go to a great monk, and then we may ask, but that will be a very, very superficial and external help. Unless the person himself becomes aware and person himself starts asking these important questions of life, then the direction will come. Then the purpose will become clear. That is the message of yoga. Yoga is all about this. Each one has to find his own purpose. Each one has to find his own direction of life and live life accordingly to make a life meaningful. If the meaning is not there, then it is just like floating, purposeless life. So the great thinker of human race, Socrates, what did Socrates say? An unexamined life, or the unexamined life, is not worth living. If we are living, we have to examine our life. We have to ask questions. How we are living? What is the right way of living? This is very significant. This is very important. If this is not done, then things will be really thinking of this, often now we are discussing about Sutra, but often I used to think about this my uncle's direction. So he always used to teach me certain things, as I told you. He taught me yoga. He started yoga in my life. And then I often used to think about him. I often used to think about his, this direction example, that always check your direction, where you are going. And then I find that, very early, I'm sharing something personal now. In my childhood, my childhood was very troubled childhood. And at certain point I was seeing no meaning in life. At certain times I was very nervous, not very clear, not very confident, not knowing what to do. Everything was going on well, not there's no lack of as far as the material comfort is concerned or money is concerned, but still that there was a kind of vacuum. And then finally when I decided to join yoga, as soon as I started joining yoga, things started becoming little better for me. And then yoga has been the direction of my life. And I find that since those days, maybe 30, 35, 40 years back, and now there's a lot of difference. Lot of difference is there because a certain direction was followed and certain direction is being still followed. So when we say that what is the purpose, now there could be many things, but one of the purpose is that overcoming certain weaknesses and self growth, self improvement. If I talk personally, I always followed the doctor's advice, my guru's advice, that always you should strive for self growth, always grow, evolve, grow from where you are. Don't get stuck up. Don't get stuck up at where you are, and don't face the same problems again and again. As you grow, you will grow into an area where new things will come, new problems will come, and every time you are able to face certain things, then you will be able to go a little further. So this direction, and then certain amount of peace, certain amount of stability of mind, certain steadiness of mind, these are the aims which can be really I have gained personally. I tell you, I'm sharing with you personal thing that I have gained these after starting asking these questions, and then sincerely following. Yoga Sutra study has given me important insights about my own life. So I made it a purpose in my life to study Yoga Sutras very, very thoroughly, very sincerely, very truthfully, and as far as possible to study sutras. There could be many scriptures. It is not, when I'm saying I started Yoga Sutras, I'm not suggesting that you all start studying Yoga Sutra. It could be Bhagavad Gita, it could be Ramayana, or it could be Manache Shlok, or it could be Das Bodh, any of the scripture. If we are sincerely following that and thinking about that, again, the purpose may come clearly before us as to what purpose is to be searched for. So I remember uh, it was in somewhere in 89 or 90. One German girl had come. She was doing teacher's training course, young girl. And we were sitting in the library and talking about certain things. So this girl, she asked me that, what would you suggest, that should I read this scripture, that scripture, that scripture? And that time she was doing teacher's training course, so she was also studying Yoga Sutras. So I asked her that, if you will read all the scriptures together, you will get confused and you will not be going anywhere. You'll always remain confused. So it is better that you leave aside everything, just focus on one thing. Try to understand it thoroughly so that you become very clear about what you have learned. And then once you have become clear, then if you read the other scripture, then you will not get confused and you will be able to find, you will be like the pole star helps to navigate through the sea. Same way, our knowledge of something which is very certain, which comes from experience, which comes from what we have known ourselves, that knowledge really helps us to navigate through the difficulties of life. That is what happens. So that's why it is. And now, after that, I started teaching in Bombay University, in Sumaya College, several places. I saw many people studying many scriptures simultaneously. Two Upanishads, three Upanishads, Ramayana also, Mahabharata also, this text, that text. So now that doesn't leave us anywhere, because one thing is, when we talk about language, language always is differing from one scripture to another. So we get confused what they are talking about. If one direction is held, If one purpose is held and that purpose is fulfilled, then everything revolving around that will become. If one has acquired mastery in Bhagavad Gita, then he will understand every other scripture of the world he reads. If he has mastered Yoga Sutras, then also the same thing will be. If he has mastered any other scripture, any Upanishad, some Upanishads also he has mastered and really mastered it, really contemplated on it, then things will become. So that is why, we have to be very, very focused, and we have to be very sincere in pursuit of what we are really doing in life. Knowledge will be available. Knowledge can be acquired, but the thing is that, what kind of direction we are giving to life. Ultimately, we have to live life very meaningfully. Then we can say that, okay, I lived a good life. At the end of the day, when we are dying, one should say that, oh, I had a very beautiful life. I had a good life and I enjoyed. It was meaningful and I was helpful to others. Because ultimately, when we are living in society, we have to be also contributing not only to the personal growth, but also the growth of the society, of our family, of our friends, of the society in general. A good person, he is an asset not only to himself, to his family, but also to the society and to the world in general. So when we are improving ourselves, we are improving the world. So when we are learning something, we are growing, then along with our growth, everything else also grows. So this is the message I find hidden in this particular sutra. Little bit of personal sharing also took place.
I have put up 2 questions in the chat box.
You can say it because I'll not be able to open it.
Oh, you won't be able to open it. The
Yeah.
first question was that when a person dies, his feet are made to point to the south. Is south considered to be a place of lifelessness or a cold area? Because Sant Kabir, or I don't know whether it was Nanak, they had said a very different thing when they slept with their feet to the south. People ridiculed them and they had said, "Turn my feet in the direction where God does not exist." And the people were rendered speechless.
No, it was not the south direction. This incident happened in Guru Nanak's life. And when Guru Nanak is said to be, he said to have visited all the, West Asia, and he had also gone to Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, he spoke about Mecca.
So he was sleeping, and his legs were in the direction of Mecca. So one Maulvi, he came and he said that you are doing kufr, you are committing a sin. Your legs are in the direction of Makkah. So Guru Nanak said, I am very tired, I am very old. Why don't you pick up my legs and turn me in whichever direction you want me to keep my legs? So that Maulvi did that. And as soon as he lifted the legs of Guru Nanak and turned them eastern direction, the Makkah also went in the eastern direction. So when he took it into the northern direction, the Makkah also went into the so that is the miraculous story related to the Guru Nanak Dev Ji. And the thing you said that at the time of death, why the legs are kept on the south side, that is the reason, because and perhaps that is the answer to what my uncle's grandfather suggested, because south is considered to be the house of death or the direction of death. South is considered to be the abode of Yama. Yama is the lord of death. In Indian thinking, in Hindu thinking, Yama is the lord of death and his direction is always south. So, and not only that, many people also believe that when you are buying a house, your house door or main entrance should not face the southern direction. So these are the beliefs in Indian society, and there are certain rituals which were evolved after the person dies. When his dead body is lifted and he is taken to the crematorium ground, how in which direction his head moves first, and then the legs are kept in the south direction, and then finally all the rituals are completed. So that is perhaps related to this belief that now legs are in the south direction. That means now his journey towards south, towards death has begun, or towards Yama, because Indians believe that when we die, we go to Yamloka. So for going to Yamaloka, which is the direction, this is the southern direction. And that is the reason it is suggested.
Second question is that we can make out if the prana is left through the eyes, because the eyes remain open, and if it has left through the mouth is remaining open.
Yeah.
So when you refer to the prana exiting from the cranial bones, how will one make out that it has gone from there?
No, see, these are for the purpose of knowing how a yogi, how a evolved person dies. So people who are alive, people who are close to him, they will monitor him. Like I told you, example of Devariya Baba. Devariya Baba, when he died, his bhaktas were there, and they claimed, they told that they saw some kind of warmth and blood at the top of the head. There was injury at the back, at the top of the head. So from that they could make out that the pranas had left or the soul had left from the top of the head. So, and this is not done in case of people normally don't know. So in case of ordinary individual, we don't even think about it. But when we are talking about the saints and sages, we often, like in sadhus, they believe that they will never be cremated or they will never be, buried in lying down position. A practicing yogi, when he dies, he is always, made to sit in meditative posture, and he's buried. So these are the beliefs, these are the practices which are there. They might have some connection with what we were discussing in the sutras. That's why I mentioned it, just for information.
Yes, as
Thank
you
you.
say,
Thank you.
I have read it somewhere when Swami Satyanand Saraswati, when he took the samadhi, his bone, when he took the samadhi, his bone came from the cranial and went some feet away.
Yeah.
Like, I have read it somewhere.
Swami Satyanand Saraswati is again a very great yogi. He was in pure yoga, and then suddenly he became a mystic. He turned into tantra. He turned into bhakti. He was a great bhakta of Devi, Kali Devi, and then that is what he practiced at the end of the life. So very intensely in bhakti.
There is, sir, one more question. Is Vastu science is related to this concept?
In comparison to this, Vastu is a very little thing, basically. It is all related to the directions and the forces which are working in nature. We know that, it is not surprising to say that when some people say that when you are buying the house, buy the east-west direction, because the sunlight is there, and then, the effect of the sunlight, the breeze, and certain geographical locations, certain directions, there is more breeze. So they will say avoid that direction. So all these are related to the geographical locations, and a good knowledge of geography, a good knowledge of the natural forces, the air, the breeze, and the sunlight. All that really, when a person who knows, he can suggest that which direction should be, used, and that knowledge is available in Vastu Shastra. Yes, person. Yes, doctor. Yes. आप म्यूट पे हैं, आप म्यूट पे हैं, आप म्यूट पे हैं. हाँ वर्षा जी बोलिए.
In Patidarwadi, that
Ah.
was the real internal clarity about Patanjali Yoga Sutra. Means, you had taken, I think, 10 years back or so, class 8 of Patanjali Yoga Sutra, but so simple language. So at least I was finding very difficult previously. But then after explanation from your side, then I took interest, and then that Swami Niranjan, means Bihar School of Yoga book, 4 chapters on freedom.
Yeah.
It is a very good book. Even in Hindi, when you read, you get more clarity.
Yeah. Yeah.
And really, one Patanjali Yoga Sutra, if anyone can really digest, you feel like reading again and again, again and again.
Yes. I remember you used to come to Patidarwadi regularly when I was taking sutras there.
Yeah, and we used to miss it. Yeah, Sunday, if we are not, one day, if some another coming, but we will attend only.
Yes.
And you are coming from so far and exactly in time.
Good.
very, very nice sessions. All.
Thank you.
So that can be one of the reasons when Gheran Samhita says this talu, as you said, the upper palate, that area is a Vyoma Chakra.
Yeah. Yeah, different names are there. Technically.
Wonderful session. Thank you.
This one doubt.
Yeah.
It might sound very immature, but it's a doubt.
Yeah.
The more you get sucked into this numerology, Vastu Shastra, and direction, I mean, you're putting on so much of bandhan on yourself, colors. Some people talk about colors. The more you get into it, I somehow feel sometimes it's like a weak mind's play.
It is a weak mindset. So I remember what Dr. Jaydev had once said. You see, when no doubt there is some reason behind all the prescriptions which are there in Vastu, which are there in Feng Shui, which are there in the other systems. As long as they are helpful to us, as long as they are helping us to become strong, as long as they are psychologically proving to be little beneficial to us, we can do it. But the moment we feel that we have started depending on that and we are started doubting ourselves, then one has to stop there and one has to just get rid of it. That is the suggestion doctor gave. You have to keep a very strong mind. You should not depend on such things. If they are helpful, somebody comes and he says, certain color is useful, certain colors is very good in certain direction. You enjoy it, use it, but not allow the mind to become so weak that you entirely believe it and you cannot move without it. That kind of dependency is very bad for anybody. So for a yoga student, though, it is very, very bad. Yoga students should not fall prey to all these weaknesses. One can make use of, when you are constructing a house, what is the harm in making a plan according to Vastu? Because this is an ancient scripture, ancient system which was developed. So we do according to that. But then if something is not as per Vastu and something bad will happen to me and I am unlucky, this kind of thought is not welcome. This is not desired. So one has to, sometimes things may not be according to Vastu, but the one person has to keep his mind very strong. That is the suggestion a yoga teacher would give. Dr. Jaydev would say that he once said that, you have to keep your mind very strong.
Yeah, he once also said that, why do you want to match horoscopes? Horoscopes are horror scopes.
Yes, they are. और मिलाने के बाद में भी क्या होता है?
मिलाने के बाद में क्या हुआ?
36 गुण मिलाने के बाद में भी एक साल भी साथ में नहीं रहते। 36 गुण मिला लिए फिर भी एक साल भी साथ में नहीं रहते और किसी ने होरोस्कोप देखा ही नहीं है, they are going strong 75. You never know. It's all mind.
हमारा 36 अभी पूरा हो गया।
Good.
हमने होरोस्कोप में
you have to start listening to your wife. That's the only thing you have to do. You stop using your brain, listen to your wife.
अजय यार क्यों?
भेजा तो सब खा लिया उसने, अभी मेरा भेजा बचा नहीं कुछ भी।
आया नहीं है अभी, वो तुम भेजा वापरो।
A young boy asked his grandfather which career I should pursue. So grandfather says, become a good human being. There is very little competition and lots of scope.
Yes. So that's what it is. See, people with strong purpose, people with meaningful life are very, very helpful to others and they are good human beings. So let us try to become that.
Sir, if you tell anyone not that you listen to your wife, it is a very painful process.
That's the best way to surrender your ego.
Now each one has to think about it. Okay, so we leave it here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much,
Thank you,
sir.
sir.
Thank you,
Thank you
sir.
so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The
Thank you.
recordings are there on the Sir's channel. You will get it.
Yeah.
Okay,
Actually,
thank you.
I was not able to attend last week, and this also I attended. Matlab, I attended it in the car because we had just landed, so I wanted to just catch up on it.
But that's why, luckily last time I forgot, but Ajay had recorded. So the audio has been put on the channel. Now this one I will just now I'll put it on the channel.
Sir, I was telling my son that this is the third year for me attending the class, and it's the first class I missed because I was on a flight.
Okay.
So he was like, "Wow, Mama."
Okay.
Please. Last week I missed because we were on a flight.
Acha.
And sir, but I want to catch up with it, and I want to. So I'll go through the channel then.
Yeah. All videos what we have done in chapter 3, most of them are there on the channel. You can listen to them.
Okay, thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
everyone.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, sir.
Jinal, bye. Nice to see you after a
Namaste.
long time. Yes.
Namaste, sir. How are you?
I'm good. How's
Yes,
everything?
yes, all fine. I'm in Thailand now,
Ah,
and I will be in Mumbai soon. I will maybe hopefully meet you.
sure.
If-
Most welcome.
Yes, yes. So nice to come. I was busy with something, but now I will start coming
Okay.
every Thursday
Okay.
again.